Thank you very much, Randy, and let's go back to our callers. Next up is Tina, listening in Bellevue, Nebraska. Hi, Tina.
Hi. My question was, I was looking at some reviews for your book, Has God Spoken? And I noticed that one of the reviewers was mentioning that they thought that your book was, that you were arrogant. And I have a friend who recently fell away from the faith. She's now agnostic. And my thoughts are, how are Christians seeming arrogant when they are so firm on their faith? If that's the way it is, you either believe or you don't.
Well, I think there's a difference between being firm in the faith and being arrogant, and I think it's a distinction with a difference. We are called to do what we do with gentleness and with respect, but we are called, and the Bible's clear on this, we are called to correct, to rebuke with great patience and careful instruction. So I think there is an attack on the Word of God, and when you counter the attack, it is sometimes perceived as arrogance. For example, you have 𝘉𝘠𝘬, who is a professor who is quite proud of the fact that Christian students come into his classroom, and he believes that virtually every one of them is shaken in their faith by the time they end listening to his instruction. But the reality is, when you look at his arguments, the arguments hold very little water. There are a lot of bravado, but very little substance. Now, in pointing that out in the book, it may seem arrogant in answering the question, but that's not where we should be. We should not be in a state of arrogance, but a firm rebuttal of those who are shaking the faith of those who are not grounded oftentimes. But I think it's critical that that is done with gentleness and with respect, and I certainly hope that I model that in my writing and on the Bible Answer Man broadcast. I think the tone is the same. It's not the only thing to do to answer a question, but it is as important, I think, to model how we should engage in communication with other people. Now, we don't always do that perfectly. I certainly don't. I'm a flawed person, and there are times in which you're tired or maybe a little aggravated, or who knows, the human condition is the human condition. But we should seek that the balance of what we provide is done with gentleness and meekness and reverence. And I will tell you something, the more you learn, the less opportunity you have to be arrogant in reality, because the more you learn, the more you realize how little you know with perspective to all that can be known. So it actually fosters a sense of humility in the person.
And that's good to know, because I've been responding to a friend who, she decided that now she's agnostic, and we've been very close. And as I speak to her, it's hard for me to, sit there and smile and be like, oh, okay, your faith is wonderful. I'm sorry, I do not agree with that. It may make me seem arrogant to be so firm, but that is where I am at. And that's kind of what I was thinking about when I read the review is I wonder what Hank thought and how he would, encounter someone who thought that they were arrogant for being firm in their faith. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, you got it, and you raise a very important point. I think the real issue is not to win arguments, but to win people, and you do that with gentleness and with respect.